Welcome to another episode of Data Gurus. I'm so excited to welcome Megan Peitz, who is the founder of Numerious. Welcome, Megan.
Thanks, Sima. Nice to be here.
How are you?
Doing well. Yeah. And yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I love the name of your company. It's intentional. Tell us what it means. Or
Yeah.
how you came up with
Very intentional and took a while to get there. I knew I wanted like one strong word.
it. Right.
And obviously, we'll get into this, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I'm a super quant nerd. And so I needed something with numbers.
Right.
And then, everything that we do at Numerious is about being curious about the
Yes.
business problem, right? So Numerious is a mashup of the words numerically curious.
I love it. I love it. I think curiosity in this day and age is so critical. We are inundated with information coming at us, and then just to be able to breathe and think and be curious is such an important skill. But we're going to get into all of that. I want to just talk about a little bit about your background and how you got here. I mean, starting a company is no easy feat. And obviously, you have a wealth of experience. So, yeah, please tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. I came into marketing research like many of us, very unplanned, right?
Yeah.
So I did a master's in mathematics and statistics at Georgetown University. And when I graduated, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And I kept getting pushed in this route of just be a teacher, which is great. And ultimately, what I love doing, but I wasn't ready yet for academia. And I ended up moving back home to Michigan, where I'm from and where I currently work 100% of the time out of my home. And I went to a Bible study and I met a guy and he was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Nothing right now. You got a job for me?" And he ironically was in marketing research. And lo and behold, we ended up connecting and I got a job at Gongus, which
Wow.
is
Yeah.
here in Auburn Hills and was Gongus for a very long time and then got bought by Insights Consulting and is now part of the big Human 8 umbrella. So I spent 8 years there learning from some really wonderful,
Yeah.
smart people. And they're really the first place that, speaking of the curiosity, really
Yeah.
taught me how to think about the why behind what we're doing and writing headlines that were not just, repeating what the data was, but actually the so what and what should, the person reading this report actually take action on and what should they do. So I got a really great experience there. I spent 8 years there. Interestingly, I started on the project side, even though I have a master's in math and statistics, but my nerdiness kept drawing me to the marketing sciences too. So everywhere I could, I was running models, and then ultimately, my boss, Catherine Eflin, who is just a wonderful human, was like, "Okay, I get it. You want to be over
Want to
there."
go
So,
there? Yeah.
so she put me on the marketing sciences team. I ended up running that team, and while I was there, I had a group of analysts. They were awesome, but they knew how to use Sawtooth software and I
Right.
didn't. I was just like the boss kind of encouraging them. And I felt like I was missing out
Yeah.
on being able to jump in and really help them in the moment when people were busy and that. So I had asked to go to a Sawtooth software training and went and ended up falling in love with conjoint analysis and
Awesome.
asked Brian Orm, the
Yes.
president of Sawtooth, to give me a job. Ironically, he turned me down for like multiple weeks.
Ah,
Finally,
Ryan.
finally convinced him and then ended up going to Sawtooth for 4 years, where I got to travel around the world teaching people how to use the software and all about conjoint and MaxDiff. And that's when I really sort of realized this understanding of people are really afraid of advanced analytics. And all you need to do is be that through line between, like, yes, this part is hard, but as long as you're able to translate it into an insight, like it's totally worth
Yeah.
learning and the effort. And so that was really like became my mission is making advanced analytics consumable for everybody. And through that, I would run projects for folks at all different companies who either wanted to learn the software, maybe didn't want to learn the software, and they just wanted somebody to do it. And I got an opportunity to work on a project for Google Nest. Ran a
Okay.
conjoint for them, presented the results, and they were like, "This is awesome. Can you come to Google and do this for all of our products?" And I was like, "Well, I think I have to ask." my boss, like, I don't know if we have the bandwidth. And they're like, no, we're not talking about like
You're not
under sawtooth.
understanding what we're saying
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, they're like, "You, Megan, you
Yeah.
come." And I was like, "To California?" And they were like, "Yeah, Mountain View, da da da." And I was like, "Ugh." And if you know a little bit about me, we live on 40 acres.
Yes.
We have bees. We make maple syrup. I love our sort of country rural
Yeah.
lifestyle. And so I just couldn't accept the job at Google. And I sort of tongue in cheek told them, like, thanks for the offer, but I'm only leaving Sawtooth if I start my own business. And I thought that was the end of the conversation. Google came back and said, sounds great. Start your own business and we'll start a 2-year contract. So
That's fantastic.
all back to how the name Numerically
Yes.
Curious was born. Thus, Numerius started as a solo female-preneur in 2019, and
Okay.
then hired my first employee in 2020. And then now we're at 8 full-time employees, 100% virtual. Google is still our flagship client, but I've
Wow.
learned to diversify. And so we support a bunch of different end clients and a bunch of different verticals. And we also support marketing research firms who maybe don't have that
Yes.
in-house advanced analytics team, but kind of want offer those things to their clients here and there.
What a great story. And I know from my own journey, like when you look back and you put the story together, it all works out. But those steps in between are gut wrenching, like to turn
Yeah.
down, right?
Oh, yes, yes, and Sawtooth, I was loving my job
Right.
too,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
to
Yeah.
be like, it's not about you, Sawtooth. It's like I have this opportunity, so I'm gonna try it. Like fingers crossed, save a spot for me if I need to come back.
And it's kind of cool. You integrated the teaching and the advanced analytics too. Eventually, it happened to
Yes.
you, two passion points.
Two passion points, and, ironically, so I started Numerius full service quantitative strategic consulting
Yeah.
and have always been pulled back into, teaching people because really, if I'm gonna go into, a room with a CEO and present content results, there's gotta be a little bit of buildup of,
Or
like, "Here's what this method is, here's why we like it,
yes.
here's what you're gonna see, and then here's your data." And so
Uh-huh.
I've learned that there needs to be a little bit of that teaching
Yeah.
throughout the whole process to really make sure people buy in to the
Yes.
methodology and understand how valuable and like amazing it really is. And so through that, we've been, uh, interplaying training
Right.
throughout the entire life of Numerius. And just actually yesterday we launched the Numerius Way, which is our training program for folks
Nice.
to learn about all advanced quant, but really focusing on the why. I'm not going to teach people how to point and click in software
I
to run correlations and multivariate analysis, right? Like
Yeah.
you can do that. ChatGPT can help you with
Correct.
that now. But what
Yes.
people really need to learn is like, when do I use each of these and for
Correct.
what? And like
Yes.
what business problems are these going to help me solve? And how do I set the experiment up to be
Right.
successful so I can get a good answer?
That's fantastic. So talk a little bit about why advanced methodologies, or in this case, conjoint, has been such a passion point as it relates to the methodology. I mean, you're lighting up when you're talking about it. It's like, it's like,
Yeah.
which is so cool. I love it. Um,
Well, I think I mean there's a lot to unpack there in
yeah.
terms of why I get so excited. I'm the first thing is like I'm not your typical quant nerd. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm a young female to begin with,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes quant can get a little stale
Right.
or maybe in the past the folks that were really good at quant wanted to keep that proprietary, right? Like that was their sort
Like
of
super.
angle
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
bringing in work, and I am literally like turning that on its head and
Yeah.
saying no. I will teach everyone who wants to learn about it like how
Yes.
to do it the right way because I don't have these grand ambitions of being 100, 200 employees. Like
Right.
I like
You
this
like what
very
you have.
nice
Yeah.
boutique offering, but I do think we do things the right way at Numerius, and so
Yes.
that's why our training program is actually called the Numerius Way, so that I don't plan to serve all the clients in the world, but when you go to serve them, I want you to kind of do it the
Got
Numerius
it.
way. So let me help you. And I just think the whole world needs more of this like support, collaboration,
Yes.
because all of us have unique skills and we're
Yeah.
all better together. And that's really just why I love the
That's
teaching and the
awesome.
trading piece.
That's fantastic. Give us a little bit for listeners who aren't familiar with conjoint. Um, can you give a kind of an overview exactly what it is, and and why it differentiates in terms of a methodology compared to others in your mind?
Yeah, we could spend a whole hour there, but I'll give you the TLDR. So, whenever we want to sell our product or our service to an individual, and we want to understand what it is that they like about our product or service, so we can say those things in marketing or in messaging, et cetera, or know exactly what to build. If we ask traditional types of survey questions, what we often find out is everything's important. Or if it's a
Yes.
list of benefits, all the benefits are appealing, right? And if I'm a product manager, that's not helpful, right? Because
Right.
if everything is
Yes.
important, then nothing is important,
Yes.
right? And I need to set a product roadmap. I need to know, like, what do I need to build first to make a minimum viable solution to get
Yeah.
on the shelf and then start getting revenue so that I can start to make V2 and make things better, right? And so if you want to set a product roadmap, you absolutely need people like me and you to give you
Yes.
data that's differentiated. And so these choice techniques,
Mhm.
conjoint being one of them, MaxDiff being another one of my fan favorites, is you put the actual survey taker in that trade-off experience, right? You can't have a V8 engine
Right.
at a price point of a Chevy Cavalier. Not to knock on the Cavalier, drove
Yeah.
one. That was my first car ever. Right? But you can't have both, right? So
Right.
what's more important to you? Are you price sensitive or are you
Sure.
horsepower driven, right? Like that's a
Yes.
clear automotive example, but that sort of price sensitive versus like tech forward, that plays itself out everywhere. And every brand has the opportunity to kind of deliver on one or the other of those things, or you can try to be everything to everybody, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily prescribe to that school of thought. So we put respondents in this sort of trade-off experience
Mhm.
where we say, did you want this at this
Mhm.
lower price, or are you willing to pay more for that smartphone that comes from Apple with a really, really fancy camera? And then
Right.
we go through this series of trade-offs and decision making so that we can uncover what you truly value. And that's all built based on mathematics. There's an
Mhm.
experimental design to make sure we're showing you all different combinations at all different price points. And there's no, let's get mathy, multicollinearity
Right.
happening so
Yes.
that I can build a model to predict based on your answers, Seema, what the best product to build for you would be
Yeah.
without having to ask you directly,
Right.
because we know people always understate their willingness to pay or overstate all the things they need, when in reality it's probably just one or two things. So at the end of the day, I can build this model and we can play around in what's called a simulator tool and say, hey, what if our brand did this? Would it actually drive people into our product or service? No, not enough people. Okay, how low do I have to drop my price to get them to buy? Or maybe I could up my feature set and maybe now folks will start buying. And then these product managers and product planners can use this tool to
Yeah.
make trade-offs of, hey, if I put this on my product roadmap, I'm going to need X amount of developers, Y amount of marketing, and is it really worth it for like this small shift in share, or do I need to go back to the drawing board and come up with some sort of better ideas to compete in the space I'm in today?
I love it. I also like it from a respondent perspective. You don't have to do a heavy lift. Like, you're answering it and it's like whatever comes to mind instinctively. You're not like, right? The choices aren't overbearing and you can quickly go through it. And at the end, it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't too taxing on me.
Yes.
It's actually, dare I
And
say,
it mimics what we
enjoyable.
do in the real world, right?
Right,
Like we
exactly.
walk up to the shelf in the cereal aisle
Yes.
and we pick based
And
on
we
like
move.
the
Yeah.
brand we grew up
Yep.
with or the color of the box or the price point, right? And it's literally mimicking that exact
Yes.
same shopping experience instead of saying, "Hey Seema, how would you rate Cheerios
Right.
today?" and "How
Yeah.
would you rate the price point of 4.99?" And we all use rating scales differently. This completely removes all of that bias. You can apply it across countries and be able to compare results. It's
Right.
it's beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
clearly very biased,
You love it?
but 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 recommend.
That's awesome. I think there's so much going on in the world of research as it relates to technology, specifically AI, and what we started talking about, curiosity.
Mhm.
With advanced methodologies, obviously, it's still core research. It's meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah,
How do you see the two blending, if at all, in terms of the future?
right. Well, I am not gonna talk about synthetic data. I'm gonna leave that
Okay, all right.
well, because in theory, right, conjoint models have been using synthetic data for years. We leverage this model called a hierarchical Bayesian multinomial logistic regression. All you need to know about it is that I show you 20 product concepts.
Yeah.
You give me the answers, and I can predict how you would feel about thousands of different combinations, right? Because I am leveraging machine learning and essentially synthetic data, right,
Right.
from all of the other people I surveyed to fill in those gaps. So
Yeah.
I believe if we keep the human at the
Yes.
heart of the research that we do, we can leverage mathematical techniques to fill in the gaps. But I am a big naysayer of completely removing the human, right?
Human.
Because I, I
Yeah.
I really think that's what we still need. And to your point, like that is the meat and potatoes
Yes.
of marketing research is we are talking to the people who are consuming or purchasing our product and service. All that being said, we are finding some really fun applications of AI in our space, right? Like imagine a world where after 3 or 4 conjoint screens, a chatbot can come up and start talking to you about, hey, Seema, it looks like you're avoiding products that, are X, Y, and
Ah,
Z.
yeah.
Is this true? Can I basically change my conjoint design on
Right.
the fly based on your answers
That's
so that I
cool.
can start showing you more relevant concepts and alternatives, right? Me as a human, that's not scalable.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I really need that. And then plus I can get some of those like open and some deeper conversations. I can,
Mhm.
do a lot more with the data in the moment, but still keeping like the human forward. And then on top of that, just the ability to analyze different things, right? So at Numerious, if we're going to run a segmentation project, we're going to use multiple algorithms and we're going to ensemble them all together to try to figure out like what are the common themes that keep repeating, and then let's present that solution to our client. But the number of man hours that it would take to
Fall
like
back.
sift
Yeah.
through solutions because we can always use statistics to throw out kind of like the bad ones, right? If they don't meet this certain criteria out of the 30 we looked at, let's narrow it down to 5 or 6. But each of those 5 or 6 to really think through the application to the business of this 5 segment solution versus this 6 segment solution,
Yeah.
and where is the opportunity, that's a lot of man hours. and
Yes.
so and so we can leverage AI in that sense to kind of help us do some summaries and like get started and like kind of poke some holes in what
Sure.
we're seeing in the data, and
Yeah.
then really sort of like minimize the amount of time we have to spend as humans, and then get those final 2 solutions, and then we layer on the numerious way of looking at
Yes.
things. And because as good as, ChatGPT and Gemini are,
Right.
they don't have the full capacity of what I've heard my stakeholders say
Right.
and what I know that they need to hear in order to be able to take action on it, right? So you always have to like fine tune it at the end. There's no world where any researcher should be delivering something straight out of Gemini or
Yeah.
ChatGPT
Yeah.
to their stakeholder. If you're doing that, like hit pause
Yeah.
and maybe think about that a little bit
Well,
more.
I
It
mean,
should
I think it speaks to the role of the researcher and how much they understand the client's problem,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
the context of it and being able to link that to the results of the data. Sometimes I feel like we minimize that, or maybe we spend too much time getting the data, and then like the last mile is a part that we're just like you kind of run
Right.
out of steam, or
Like, really really where we should be spending our time is like that first 20% of the project design, and
yes,
that last 20% of we have the data and now we're, like,
yes,
turning this into something that's actionable.
yeah,
The middle part is where you could implement all of these different sort of automations,
yes,
whether they're AI enabled or not, right? Like, that's where all that should be happening, data cleaning,
yeah.
etcetera, field work, etcetera. So yeah, I think you're right. Like people get burnt out by the end of field work and they create these tabs and then they see this massive
I
data
know.
set and they're like, oh man, now what? Right? Like you should have
Yes.
been thinking about that in the design phase so you
Correct.
could have been ready and used your
So
real
true.
power on the back end.
So true. So true. I also find it interesting that, this notion of a black box, and for you to have to explain, not have to, want to explain to your clients why this methodology is so powerful.
Mhm.
Um, I see that. I see tremendous value in it because you do get buy-in from your clients to understand, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Just like what we were talking about, like as people, we make these choices instantaneously when we're shopping or
Mhm.
whatever. But you then go to some of the solutions that are now in the marketplace, and I I think people still wanna know the black box.
Yeah.
And I wonder where that's gonna go because so much is in the black box that I'm not seeing the curiosity,
Mhm.
of saying, "Wait, how did you make this? What's behind the scenes?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people, I think people inherently are good, right? And
I
so
do too.
they want to trust that when
Yes.
somebody posts on LinkedIn that their synthetic data replicates true humans with
Yes.
95%. That's amazing.
Yes.
It's like we should all want to use that
That's
solution.
right.
But the real curious minds in
Yeah.
this industry, folks like Joel from Dig Insights and
Yep.
Kareen, like these people are
Yes.
wonderful, and they're starting to poke a couple holes and just
Yeah.
make everybody else in the industry aware of
Yeah.
the fact that, like, hey, how did you get to that number? Like, is
Yes.
it reproducible, or did you just do it one time? And I think one thing that's so curious to me about our industry, we all call ourselves researchers,
Right.
but if you're a true researcher in like the academia world,
Yeah.
you have to prove your hypothesis over and over again. It's
Over
not
and
just
over.
like a
Yeah.
one-time like
Yep.
moonshot and then it's
Yes.
now a theory, right?
Yes.
It's got to be
Yes.
like reproducible, replicatable, and that you could hand over your data set to somebody else and they could find the
Yeah.
same sort of solution. And we don't really hold ourselves to that
Account
standard. And that is one thing I wish we like borrowed a little bit more from academia
academia.
is like
Yeah.
if you're going to go introduce a new scale,
Right.
you should probably do some research on like
Yeah.
the validity of
Yes.
that scale, right? Or if you're going to, completely replace humans, you should
Right.
probably like double check, does this work across every industry, across
Yes.
every vertical, across B2B, B2C, like and tell me, like, lift the hood, because I want to be able to say to my client with
Right.
confidence that
Yes.
yes, I feel good about this using this tool because it, replicates
Yeah.
95%. And then if they ask me that one layer deeper of question, and I don't know the answer,
Yeah.
we've immediately lost
Lost
trust, right,
trust.
with your
Yep.
stakeholder.
Yep.
And so I wish more people would
Mhm.
would lift the hood and tell us like what is really going on. And that's really what I stand for. And honestly, at Numerius, a lot of the solutions that we're building now are open source so that people can lift the
Lift
hood.
the
And if they
hood.
want to do it by hand, like, here's how you do it by hand. And
Yes.
also here's this like easy web tool interface if you want the easy button.
Got it. Very cool. I'm curious, are your clients researchers typically, or are they product managers? Give us an idea of like, because that's you're kind of combining vocabulary if they're not
I
researchers.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you my favorite clients are
Okay.
are tend, tend to be on the product side or in the
Okay.
C-suite, and I think that's what kind of really differentiates Numerius from a maybe traditional
Yeah.
marketing research firm is we're kind of boots on the ground with product teams, product managers, product planners, marketing managers, helping them answer like the questions that their CEO is asking them. And
Okay.
we're more of a partnership versus, I think, kind of the old school approach is that the product manager or product planner would go to the research team,
Yes.
and then the research team would kind of wear this hat of, I need to be the voice of the
That's right.
consumer
Right.
and like convince you that this is the right thing to do. When I really think the shift is like, oh, like me and the product planner are partners in this,
Right.
and we're seeking out data to help us like figure out what
The
to do next,
roadmap.
because
Yeah.
those product managers, those product planners, those C-suite folks,
Yeah.
they're smart as heck, right? Like
Yes.
the
Yes.
ideas that they come up with are not just like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
let's see,
Yeah.
right? Like they're
Yeah.
brilliant. And
Yeah.
so we should respect that and then
Sure.
say like, let's go out together and
Right.
find this answer. And the best part about that is because they're product people, they don't really know research. And
Right.
so they're entrusting to me to
Yeah.
pick the right methodology to like be able to answer that question. And I think that's the other really nice part about I'm not knocking working, with
Sure.
insights people, but oftentimes they're that when they are my stakeholder, they have to go to their
Go
boss
to
and
another
say, this
person.
is
Yeah.
why we did
Yeah.
this, right? And so I don't have that sort of relationship. So while I love working with both, I find that I can be more strategic and more influential
Yeah.
when I'm working directly with product
Yeah.
and C-suite than when I'm maybe working with an insights department.
It's almost like you're embedded in the team.
Well, when I started with Google, I
Yeah.
had an LDAP, I had a
There you
badge.
go. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was a Googler up
Right.
until last year because I was like, "Hey, I got 8 employees now, and, like, I kinda can't be on call all the
All the
time
time.
for
Yeah.
people, even though I love it," right?
Yeah.
And so I gave back my badge, but yeah, based on the fact that that was how I started Numerious,
Yeah.
that those were the type of accounts that I ended up seeking out when we tried to find new
Other
clients,
additional
and
clients.
it's
Yeah.
really been wonderful, and, if I could talk about all of the products and services
Yeah.
that we've influenced, like,
Influence.
man, I'd have people knocking on my
That's
door,
so
but of
cool.
course,
Yeah.
NDAs and all the things.
That's awesome. Maybe they're peppered around in the background there. No, I'm just
Yeah.
joking. Megan, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly enjoy talking to you every time we get the chance, and I love
Hey,
what
you're
you're
welcome.
doing.
Thank you very much, and I love what you stand for, and I
Thank
just,
you.
like, love, seeing us women in this
Yes.
space and just, really just encouraging
Yes.
everyone to, like, lean in to the skills and the smartness that we have as researchers and
Yes.
try to, for nerdiness, like, make
Yeah.
the world a better place with
Yeah.
data. I love it.
I totally agree with you. Thank you
So
so much.
thank you for your platform. It's really, really wonderful.
Thank you.